We recently had the opportunity to attend the Soarin behind the scenes tour, which is a perk for eligible DVC members. Here is a description of the tour. Since the tour required a 7 a.m. check-in at the guest relations window at the entrance to Epcot, and we live an hour and a half away, I decided to book an inexpensive one-night stay at All Star Movies in order to get to the tour on time. Now, we haven't stayed at an all-star resort in years, but we noticed the new gate, which is now at the entrance to the All-Stars. This system is very inefficient and made for a bad first impression, with getting stuck in the wrong lane and a big line of guests trying to check in. After we finally got through the gate, though, we ended up having a fairly nice evening. We'd actually never eaten at the All-Star Movies food court before, but the selections reminded us of the offerings from Pop Century and All-Star Music when we stayed there years ago. It looks like they're still selling those 50th anniversary refillable mugs here, too. We ended up getting the chicken dinner and the grilled chicken tomato mozzarella sandwich, and both were solidly good. The prices were a lot higher than I remember, but as I've said, it's been a while. We paid $28.79 for our food. I was happy to see that you can still buy a whole pizza here for $20. I'm glad Disney hasn't taken that away. We took our time exploring the resort since we'd never stayed here before. It wasn't very crowded on a warm Monday afternoon in late January. But then it was time to go check out our room. We were very pleasantly surprised at how nice the rooms are here. There were a bunch of thoughtful touches like the hard surface floors instead of stinky rugs, the mini fridge, which didn't used to be included back in the day, and the well-stocked coffee tea station, the nightstands for all sides of the bed, and the magnifying makeup mirror. The only things lacking that we noticed is an option for softer lighting in the bedroom area and the bathroom, which were a little too bright, and of course, no soundproofing. We heard our neighbors' loud conversations, and it seems the value resorts have been downgraded to the stinky shampoo and conditioner. I know some people love this toiletry line, but I hate the smell of the shampoo and conditioner. Well, we have to be up at 5 a.m., so we called it an early night. It was a quiet and quick ride over to Epcot at around 6:20 in the morning. The gate officer at first told us that Epcot wasn't open yet, but we explained we were there for the tour, and they called in to see if we would be allowed to proceed. We were relieved when we were let in. We had a little trouble figuring out where to go after entering the security gate, but thankfully we've parked at Epcot before, so we had a general idea. That sign says that Epcot opens at 9 a.m. It was around 6:30 a.m. when we entered the parking lot. We parked our car in an empty area and walked towards the lights. We were the first guests to arrive for the tour, and we waited at the security screening entrance for the rest of the group. We went through the screening checkpoint and met up with our tour guide a little after 7 a.m. She provided us with listening devices, so she didn't have to shout. She did ask that we only take photos and not record any of the tour since the park wasn't officially open at the time, so I only have photos of this part. The tour started in front of iconic Spaceship Earth, where our guide shared some of the history of Walt Disney Studios and Epcot. Then we started walking towards the Land Pavilion, and our guide pointed out some interesting observations. In addition to the tour being informative and interesting, one of the best parts was being able to walk around Epcot before the park officially opened. And you know, without the cacophony of 1,000 people, the Land Pavilion is quite beautiful. I have to say that I don't think I've ever even noticed the hot air balloons or ribbons hanging from the ceiling, and I've been in this building probably 100 times. With a new appreciation for Disney common area theming, we made our way to hear more about Soarin in front of the entrance. Then our guide took us outside for a fun backstage experience. We weren't allowed to take any photos backstage, and then we walked into the Soarin loading area for our ride. Our guide continued to point out some interesting things about Soarin while on the ride, but she did tell us that we could just turn the headset off before lifting off if we wanted to focus on the ride instead. And then, after inviting us to peer over the railing, our tour was finished. It was around 8:30 a.m. at this point, and the park had just opened for early entry for Disney hotel guests. We decided to take a walk around World Showcase to see how busy it was right at opening. We haven't actually been to a rope drop in years because we aren't park commandos anymore. Still, it was nice to experience a relatively low crowd. That said, the Ratatouille ride was already at a 75-minute wait. The crowds were still pretty light throughout the World Showcase. It's close to 9 a.m. at this point. We were feeling really happy that the Soarin' tour got us up and out early enough to enjoy such a beautiful morning stroll. We finished our walk around World Showcase and headed back to the land because we wanted to try the ham, egg, and cheese breakfast sandwich at the Sunshine Seasons food court. This was a little pricey at over $11 with tax, but the sandwich was pretty good at least. Well, it had been a great morning and we really enjoyed the Soarin' behind the scenes tour. This was a really nice experience that we got to take advantage of as DVC members, and we're glad that 1, it was being offered, and 2, that we were able to get a reservation for it because other dates I had asked about had already been booked up. Thank you for watching, and join us next time for another DVC member perk that I can't believe we were able to get a reservation for. You can find Paradise today by liking this video and subscribing to our channel.